God forgave you for that mistake you made right after you made it. So it's time for you to forgive yourself for it. Hey sis, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and click the subscribe button because I promise you're gonna love it here. I'm convinced that everybody has something that they did in the past that they just regret so much, or that's just embarrassing them so much. Whether that be you messed with somebody who you would never look at nowadays, whether that be something leaked of yours, whether that be you tripped in front of a group full of people, whether that be you threw up in front of people, whatever it is, we all have done something embarrassing in our lives, in our eyes, and I just feel like it's hard to let that go sometimes. Let go of the constant reminders of who you allowed in your life before you loved yourself, constant reminders of what you let slide before you had boundaries, constant reminders of friends you had before you knew who you were. All of that is a part of our past, and sometimes it's hard for us to forgive ourselves and move on. We move on physically, but in our mind, sometimes it's really hard for us to get over that. I know me, especially lately, it took me so long to get over stuff that went on when I was in high school, and I'm 21 now, so stuff that I'm thinking about went on when I was like 15, 16, 14, 13, 12, and it took me until now to really move on with my life and get over it and let it go and just understand that I grew from that mistake and I am who I am now. So I want to get some tips on what I personally did to let certain stuff go. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Understand that mistakes we make in life help mold who we are today. If I never went through heartache, I would never know what it feels like to stand on business. If I never fell off of my routine, I would never know how it feels to get back on track. If I never fell into a slump, I would never know how it feels to be happy coming out of that slump. So all the mistakes that we make in life are really just lessons. Everything you go through in life is a lesson. Life is about growing and evolving. As long as you're elevating, those simple mistakes you made in the past hold no weight. As long as you're learning from the lessons and you're continuing to grow and elevate, then you're good. It's not like you're wallowing in the mistakes. It's not like you're making mistake after mistake and you're constantly doing the same thing and not changing your behaviors. You're changing. So why are we going to dwell on something that happened in our past that honestly helped shape who we are today? Remember that nobody really cares the way we care. That thing that you did in the past, that embarrassing moment that happened in the past where you feel like everybody's eyes were on you, everybody knows about it, 9 times out of 10, nobody cares. Everybody goes through their own stuff in life. All the thoughts that go through our head every day, are we sitting around worried about what somebody else did 10 years ago, what somebody else did 5 years ago? No. So more than likely, the next person is not worried about what we did 5, 10 years ago. Nobody's looking at you thinking, oh, that's the girl who we bullied in high school. Oh, that's the girl who did this in high school. That's the girl who couldn't dress in high school. That's the girl who did this in high school. That's the, nobody's sitting around doing that. And if they are, they're lame. Like, no grounded, successful person is going to look at you and see something you did 3 to 4 years ago and really care. I don't think so. Everybody's focused on their own life. That little HOE phase you had in high school, nobody cares. Nobody remembers. Everybody's going through their own situation in life. Remember that. Once I got that through my head and I was like, yo, who remembers this? Some stuff I don't even remember unless I go through my old Snapchat memory. So you think these people are gonna remember? No. And you also gotta remember, who are they to hold weight on you? It's not like they're family. It's not like they're, they're just random people. Who cares what they think, first of all? And number 2, nobody's thinking like that. Even with family, you honestly have to let that go of caring about what they think to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to care about what they think, wanting to make certain family members proud, your immediate family. But if someone's holding your past against you, that's on them, not you. Nobody really cares. Remember that. If you get that through your mind, nobody cares except for me, you'll be fine. Because most of the time, we only care because we think other people care. And I'm telling you, they don't care. We don't care. We don't care. So, don't care. Stay away from people who remind you of the old you. Stay away from people who remind you of the person you don't want to be anymore. Sometimes our day one friends, they can't stand to see you elevate past who you were before. The people that were with you when you had low self-esteem, people that were around you when you didn't love yourself, people that were around you when you were going through a rough patch in your life, if they can't let you evolve and grow, then they have to go. That's another rule I have to keep with myself, because me personally, I went through that too. A lot of people that I grew up with, I'm the type of person where I keep my day one friends around me. I'm just like that. I cling on to people. It's really hard for me to make new friends. Sometimes I just cling on to old people from the past, and sometimes that turns around and bites me in the behind, because a lot of the people I keep around, they always remind me of who I used to be. They'll bring up embarrassing moments and they don't really let you grow. I used to be a very ditzy person. I used to be the person that would get teased. I got teased throughout high school for various reasons. Like, people used to call me tacky. People used to say my hair looked messed up. People would call me dirty. Like, just, oh, you know, childhood rumors. Everybody went through certain things like that. And a lot of people that I kept around were from that era of my life. And I was thinking, oh, maybe it's just me. That's why, like, maybe it's just when I look at them, I think about that, so that's not fair for me to cut them off. But no, they will still treat me like I was when I was 13, 14, 15, and that's not who I am anymore. And sometimes people cannot let you grow. A lot of times my old friends, they would be like, oh, you're so dumb, you're so stupid. And I used to play like that back in the day. Like, you know, when you're younger, you let stuff slide, but once you really grow into you and you start to love yourself, you don't let certain stuff slide. So it's like, I have to distance myself from people who aren't comfortable with who I am now. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person where you could just talk crazy to anymore. I'm not that person that did all that stuff when I was 14 years old. If the people who are around you aren't allowing you to grow and change, and they're gonna constantly remind you of something that happened when you were younger, when you did not love yourself, keywords, did not love yourself. Whoever's gonna bring up trauma does not deserve to be around you, because they do not want to see you do good. They don't like seeing you elevate, because they want to keep you in that spot where you were the underdog, where you were the person that they looked at and they felt secure in themselves because you were insecure. They don't want to see you elevate, so you have to distance yourself. Trust me, keeping those people around you will only hurt you in the long run. Please trust me when I say that. I made that mistake throughout almost my whole entire life up until about 2 years ago. And it really just, a lot of moments in my life that I could have been enjoying myself. A lot of moments in my life where I could have really been tapping into me, I wasn't, because I was surrounded by people who knew the old me, people who would not let me grow. Your environment means everything. Who you keep around you means everything. So the people who do not let you grow, people who remind you of who you were when you made the mistake, even people who keep bringing up that embarrassing moment, they're not for you. A real friend, if they know something embarrassing happened, they're not going to constantly bring up something that triggers you. That's not your friend. Not at all. So they have to go. And I know it's hard sometimes. It's hard to let go of friends that we've had for so long because we have a trauma bond to them. Toxic friends are hard to let go of. I know this for a fact. But let go. Even if you have to just distance yourself, distance yourself. Or if you don't want to do that, what I did, instead of me like completely cutting off some people, I kind of started to train them how to treat me. I trained them like, oh yeah, well that was back then, I don't do that anymore. You know, show them something different. Change in their presence so they know, oh, I can't play with her like I used to play with her. No, you're a new person now. They have to accept it or they can go. Rewrite your story and create new memories. This one is harder for me too, because like I said, I'm not the type of person that just lets new people in all the time, but it's actually sometimes good to be a little bit more social and let people in, because you're creating new memories. I had a thing where I wasn't letting new people in, so I was just thinking about the old me with my old friendship situations, friends who talk behind my back, you know, me doing embarrassing stuff when I was younger. So I was still in that mindset of like, oh, I'm this person, I'm this girl who gets teased, I'm this, when I'm completely different now. I'll show pictures of how I used to be. Nobody's worth getting teased anyways. I was just around mean people from the beginning, but I was still stuck in that mindset of who I was back then. So I was not letting myself elevate because I wasn't creating new memories. I was so stuck in a depression, so stuck in thinking about my past, dwelling on it, that I did not let myself be a new person. I did not let myself live and experience new experiences. So I'm telling you guys this because I kind of know from experience, and I'm still young, so I can still learn and still create new memories. But create new memories, even if it's with yourself, with your family. If you're not a social person like me, create memories with your family, create memories with your husband, create memories with whoever it is. Create new memories. Also, key thing you could do, rewrite your story. We are the narrators of our story. If I want to go back in time and delete that memory from my mind, I could delete it. In your mind, you could say, oh, that never happened. Erase that from your life. Write out your whole life story from start to beginning, from you were a baby to up until now, or you can go further on 5 years from now too. Create it completely differently. Rewrite the story so you won't ever remember what happened back then. Take your lesson from what happened and run with it. Do not dwell on it. Trust me, that's wasted so much time. And a lot of times I used to think like that too. I used to be like, well, it helps motivate me. It helps me want to become successful because I'm thinking about how bad people did me in the past. I'm thinking about everything I did in the past and how I'm different now, when actually it was just hurting me because I was just opening so many different trauma wounds, and I was just facing so many different wounds that did not need to be opened back up. So once you heal from it, move on. Do not sit in it, because that wound will open back up the more you go back and look at it. I hope I'm making sense when I say that. But erase it in your mind. I know it's kind of hard because it's like, girl, it really happened. So how are we going to be able to just erase something from our mind that actually happened? But just don't think about it. I had to delete Snapchat because every time I went on Snapchat, I would go back to the old me and go back to old videos from like high school, you know, when I was going through bad phases in life, when I was being picked on, I had low self-esteem, I was going through really bad boy problems, did not love myself at all, hated myself actually. And I noticed that looking back on those videos actually opened up a really bad wound. It didn't make me feel better. It took me back into that space, that mindset. I thought in my head that looking back at those videos were helping me because I'm like, oh, look how far I've came. It was doing that in the beginning, but the more you look at it, the more you just take yourself back. So don't look back, just look forward. Trust me, because yeah, I was doing that a lot and it did not work out for me. It's just gonna open up a bunch of wounds. Now we're gonna talk about forgiving ourselves, because I was talking to you guys about how to just move on and not really care, but the part when it comes with forgiving ourselves is where we need to take care and really understand. So I want you guys to journal. Like when I really wrote out what hurt me, I wrote out what I did in the past, who hurt me, what situations did to me, why it did to me, why I did that in the past, what I felt about myself to make me do that, and then where you are now, and write it out and let it go. Really release that trauma and let it go. Even if you need outside professional help, need to talk to somebody about it, anything you need to do, get help. If you're not comfortable with talking to a professional about it, write it out, read it out loud, and let it go. Release it, let it go. My mom always told me that. Release, but let go. Do not dwell. Release and let go. And also remember that this is your life, so anytime you want to create a new you can. If you wake up today and decide, I don't want to be like that anymore, I want to be a completely different person, you could be a completely different person. I am a completely different person than I was a month ago. It's okay to change. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to evolve. Let yourself evolve and understand that everything that happens in life is really a part of life. God knows we're going to make mistakes. As long as you're learning from them, it's all good. Another thing I suggest too, I don't know who's religious or not, but getting close to God, whatever you believe in, get close to that. When I started really getting close to God and myself, talking to God every day, reading a scripture out of my Bible every day, even if you don't own a Bible, like just getting close to God, watching like sermons on YouTube. They have words you could do if you don't want to like physically go to a church. They have services you can watch on your phone. Just doing stuff like that really helps you get to the bottom of like your trauma kind of, and you just give it to God and you understand that, okay, this is really a part of life. And when you understand that God loves you no matter what, God loves you throughout everything, you really start to realize, okay, so why am I dwelling on a mistake when God, my creator, is not even dwelling on a mistake I made? God forgave you for that mistake you made right after you made it. So it's time for you to forgive yourself for it. Learn, move on, and elevate. So that was it for today's video. It wasn't as long as my usual videos. I just wanted to come through and talk about something that was weighing heavy on my mind, because I'm really in a stage of my life where I'm just trying to forgive myself for mistakes I made in the past and not hold on to that burden, because it was making me angry. I noticed it was making me grumpy, and I didn't really like how I was treating other people out of just frustration. So I had to dig deep and ask God, like, what am I carrying that's making me feel like this? And once I realized it was my past mistakes I was not forgiving myself for, so every little thing triggered me, is when I was like, okay, I have to do the inside work and I have to figure this out, because I cannot walk through life being mean and bitter because of stuff that happened to me in my past. I have to move on and elevate. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.